So we're going to have an announcement from the Oval Office. Could he be sending troops in to Chicago? Which I'm not for. I don't want to see troops anywhere on our streets. Let Chicago handle Chicago problems. If you want to allow certain portions of your city to be considered somewhat war zony, that's a you thing. That is. And I know people there are frustrated, but when push comes to shove and it's voting time, you go out and you vote for the same people over and over again who put in the same policies that put you in the position you're in. Shouldn't be the government's job to come in on the federal level and bail you out. Now, if he wants to send in the FBI, the ATF, the DEA, which is law enforcement, and they can surge there, well, then let them do that. I don't want to see any troops. I don't think we need to. Then it becomes lawsuits, and it becomes and this is right now between, the mayor and him. And the mayor he's an idiot. All right. I mean, let's just be honest. He is an advocate that is LARPing as a mayor. That's what he has been for a long time. He you go and you just listen to him talk about crime. He bloviates. He talks in circles. There was last week, he was on with Morning Joe, which not hard hitting, right? Let's remind everybody, Morning Joe tells everybody to write this down, right? Tape this, mark my words, it's the sharpest bite. This is not a hard hitting thing. And he still couldn't answer any questions about the city and whether or not he wants this to happen. Because the last thing any Democrat city wants to be seen doing, apparently, is inviting President Trump to come on in and to help them in this situation. So he goes out and he has them sign this saying, we will not be working with the federal government. Then don't. Then don't. But this is why when we talk about elections having consequences, this is one of those things. This is an election consequence. Is crime up? Is crime down? I don't know. I don't know what numbers to believe in 90% of these things. Why? Because some numbers count, some don't. Sometimes you report this to the FBI, but then sometimes I can put it down as something else, and it doesn't go to the FBI. So you're not quite sure what those numbers look like. All that being said, it still doesn't fix the issue that is underneath in these areas. You've got fatherless homes. You've got people who are on the lower end of the wage scale. You've got rampant poverty. And it's a cycle, right? It's a cycle that continues day in and day out. It's a cycle that continues over and over again. You surging and fixing their issue temporarily doesn't fix it long term. And long term, by the way, is a generational thing. It didn't happen like this overnight. Many of these things that were championed by Democrats, right? Let's get the men out of the homes. Let's have people come somewhat dependent upon the government because government could be daddy and raise you. And what happened? You have this nightmare situation going on in some of these cities, St. Louis, Memphis, Chicago. 15 blocks, give or take, is what you're looking at in Chicago. The rest of Chicago, you go down Wacker Street, you're not worried about getting shot. Right? You're not worried about a lot. But are there certain areas? Yes. But why is this situation with Trump and him becoming an issue that we as the federal government or America should get involved with? They're part of America. But that's why you guys get a vote, because while you're a part of America, you're your own city, you're your own state. You want to handle things this way and you don't want that? Fine. I told you guys last week, 2 cities in New Mexico. In New Mexico, Lujan is their governor. She is a Democrat. 2 cities who are having issues with gang violence and fentanyl, and it is on the streets and it's pervasive. They came to her and said, we need the National Guard. And she surged the National Guard there. Right? So Pritzker, he's never going to do anything because this is also resistance. And we're at a time now when, unless if it's a hurricane, right? A massive earthquake happens, then the federal government's going to come in and people can put aside the politics at that moment in time because it's something that is not political. This, they turn into politics. And it's sad because the people that suffer are the people in these neighborhoods who are already struggling to make ends meet, who are already struggling because they're stuck in a cycle of violence, no education. It's either you're going to be a gangster, you're going to do your best and hope you get out of there, but the minute you have a chance, you're leaving. You're not sticking around. Or it's a straight shot to either the morgue or prison. And it is frustrating. But going and knocking crime down for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, that isn't going to fix the underlying problem. And the underlying problem is you've allowed the Democrats to rule your cities. Go look at the cities. Detroit. Detroit is a disaster. You go look at Detroit 50 years ago, there was, 2 million people there? Was there 750,000 people there now? They got so broke, they were having to sell off artwork from their museum a few years ago. Think about that. Think about if we were so broke, they had to go over there, and Freddie goes, uh-oh, we got bills due. And he's like, we better go to the art place and start auctioning off stuff. Somebody call Sotheby's. That's how bad these places are run. But when you go back and you look, it is D, 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 D. And then when time comes, what happens? Because of the machine, because of the power of the machine, they push through another Democrat. And it has nothing to do with what happens on the ground and to the people in the surrounding areas. It has all to do with what happens with the unions and the power that these people get when it comes to their vote. That's the issue. You want to fix something? How about trying something new? Oh, I don't know. Voting a different way. The result that you've got now isn't working. But this is why elections have consequences. And I don't think going in there and surging and bringing, I don't want to see, first of all, D.C. is a different thing because it's federal, the District of Columbia. That's a much different thing than what you get in other places. I don't want to see any kind of surge in any of these areas. I don't want to see, any of our troops on the street. If you want to send out ATF, which they've done in the past, and if you want to send out, DEA, they've done that in the past. You want to send out the FBI and the local, they've done that. But this has also become a fight between Pritzker and the mayor of Chicago and Trump. And you know what Trump's going to do? He's going to try to impose his will. He is. And alas, we're going to find out what that looks like because I think it's coming sooner rather than later. And we are waiting. There's supposed to be a Oval Office address coming up in a little bit. Chicago might be a part of it. Department of Defense may become the Department of War. There could be some stuff on. We were talking about Space Force last hour. And I was joking about the fact, Space Force, you're probably never going to space. And people are like, there's a lot of people who are in the Air Force and they've never flown a plane. Yeah, but they've been on a plane. Right? They have been. Now, 30 years from now, flying in space will probably be nothing new. I mean, I would think, and maybe I'm wrong, let me know what you guys think, that there's a good chance in my lifetime, knock on wood, that we're going to see space travel become something very normal. Like super normal. And that going up to space and that maybe taking trips and whatnot are going to be just, no difference than taking a weekend away when you're driving, or we're going to Dollywood. Well, we're going to go to the moon. I don't know. Potentially. And I think that will happen in the next, if you think about how far we came with travel. So you go and look at the last century, where we were 1900 to where we got to with the plane, to where we got to with the jet, to where we got to with putting a man on the moon. And then somehow forgetting how to put a man on the moon. We lost him. We don't know where any of that stuff is. So as soon as Trump speaks, we will have that for you. Meanwhile, outside of that, they're all back today. And I know that I heard, Jay talking about the fact that they're going to talk about the budget and they're going to talk about, we could run out of money. I don't talk about that. I don't care. They're all going to talk about how they could run out of money, how they could do this, how they could do that. And let me tell you what's going to happen. It'll shut down for an hour or maybe 3 or maybe 4 or Saturday into Friday into Saturday, some crap like that. And then they'll get something done or they'll kick it out 90 days or whatever the hell they're going to do. And I'm going to laugh because they'll celebrate as if they did something, which in reality, you didn't do anything outside of your job and spend our money. And the federal government likes to think that if they close down and everything, you guys are not going to, it's all going to fall apart. Maybe you need to figure out that, no, it's not. It's not all going to fall apart. Maybe you guys should be more responsible in the way that you spend money. Oh, meanwhile,
of the House Oversight Committee, which is already poring over reams of Epstein case records that it subpoenaed from the Department of Justice, will meet with several Epstein victims. And it comes as there's this brewing effort from Democrat Ro Khanna and Republican Thomas Massie to get a handful of GOP members to defy Trump, who's told Republicans to move on, and procedurally vote to force a release of the Epstein files publicly.
So that is still happening. So they're meeting today and tomorrow. Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, so it's bipartisan. They're going to have 10 to 13, maybe a few more, they're not quite sure, women giving their testimony about all the stuff that has happened. I think Johnson and Trump and everybody thought this was all going to go away. It hasn't. You just put it on pause. And they're debating it even today. And Trump over the weekend said, tell Bondi the release stuff that we think would be, is credible. And I'm like, no, release it all. Because the more that you do stuff like that and you pick and you choose, the more questions are going to be asked. Release the whole damn thing. But tomorrow, these are women that have never spoken before, from what I understand. These are 10, 12, 13 women that nobody knows their names. They've never spoken before. They're going to come out and give their account of all of the stuff that happened, how many women there actually probably are, and still not going anywhere. Still not. They can hope and they can pray. But the pressure is still there. And it's my buddy said last night, he said, it's funny, Massey's on TV now. He formally filed a petition to release the Epstein files. Last night he said, is he the most hated Republican? I said, who cares? I said, he's not. But I said, who cares if Thomas Massie is the most hated Republican? He's loved in Kentucky, and that's really all that matters. So much of this, people wrap their mind around this person's not liked. Yeah, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and whatnot. But the constituents, as long as they like him, you can have a disdain for him all you want. Because unless you're actually voting for him or against him, it's just noise on the machine. Absolutely. Coming up, today is Hot Take Tuesday. We got some of that hot takes. Plus, we're going to hit you up on songs you might want to hear for One Hit Wonder Wednesday as well. Reach out to us across all of our social media. You can hit me up at Chad Benson Show on X and check out the YouTube as well at Chad Benson Show. This is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Oh, I can't wait for that. It's interesting. Wonder what it could be. Several of you chimed in. We're talking about what's going on with Chicago. Some of you are like, Chicago made this mess. Let them deal with it. It's not that I agree in the sense, this is not a federal thing. The beauty of our country and how we're set up is so different than everybody else. The way that we set this republic up is incredible. States' rights, the rights within those states belong to the state and the cities and allow them to do their thing. If there's something that needs to happen with the feds, you call them in. But if the governor doesn't want to, and, you've got... You've got the mayor, right, who is just, again, he's an activist, LARPing as a mayor. If he doesn't want to be a part of the fix, He just wants to continue to do what he does, which is turn everything and everybody into some sort of victim. Then you're going to continue to have that mess. And that's kind of what they've got in a small area. Chicago's a big city. You get outside of about 15-ish blocks or areas, safe as can be. But it's not just the violent crime, too. The quality of life crime, which is never, ever hit upon the way it should be when we talk about crime. So the quality of life crime is, I have a car and I can't park it outside because people break into it all the time. That's a quality of life crime. That's a nightmare. So even though crime may be going down, violent crime, homicides, what's the quality of life crime? The fact that every time you go into your house, you have to take everything in your car, including your little smelly thing from the rearview mirror, right? Because they might steal that. That's a nightmare. You got places in like Oakland and San Francisco where people are they leave their windows down and they leave their trunk open because it's sick and tired of having to replace their windows or their broken trunk so people could look in and realize there's just nothing in there. Doesn't mean people aren't going to try to get in. But even with a quote-unquote fix temporarily, the underlying issue is you've got poverty-stricken areas that aren't getting any better. You have politicians who use their votes to enrich themselves and to push agendas that rarely, if ever, help or do anything in neighborhoods. And you get what you get. That's why we say votes matter. Elections matter. And right now, they've had more than a few opportunities. And it's not just here. You can go look at St. Louis. You can go look at Detroit. Go look at Oakland. Go look at Los Angeles. Go look all these places. What do you have? You have Democratic machines that have put themselves into the position at the city and state, not just the state for when it comes to who goes to D.C. or even who goes to the State House, but in the cities themselves, that put themselves in the position to hold on to power, never to improve anything, and rarely try. But come around every once in a while and talk about how they're going to fix this problem or that problem, and the only way for that problem to get fixed is if you vote for me so I can go fight on your behalf. It's funny that you send somebody to fight that much, and yet they never seem to do anything different. Ever. Interesting thing. It's Hot Take Tuesday. We do hot takes here. And my hot take today was bacon or sausage. I choose sausage. I love bacon, right? But I choose sausage. Spicy sausage, little maple syrup, whatever it is much better than bacon. And I love bacon. The thing was, though, if I had to have one, and I couldn't go at all with, I got to choose one or the other, I chose sausage over bacon. Louis' hot take was he hates, was it slap fights? Is that what it is?
Power slap.
Power slap, which is a big sport. I see it on USA and TNT. If you've never seen it, it is where they slap each other. They stand there and somebody kind of wheels around like they got a baseball bat, but it's their hand, and then they slap each other. And then they've got people standing behind them to catch them because in many cases, people get knocked out cold. It is crazy. He thinks it's stupid. I think it's stupid.
Yeah, I've seen people bleed and act like it didn't even faze them.
No, no.
Dude, I know you felt that.
But it's a bizarre thing. And the fact is, we have this now where people are slapping each other, and we've turned this into entertainment. It is crazy. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about the Ding Dong Ditch'em incident. You couple that with swatting and these hoax, active shooter things. Stuff was going to happen. But this is a little bit different. We'll talk a little bit about that. Yet again, another TikTok challenge. A bunch of other stuff on the way as well. If you're missing the show, shame on you, grab the podcast. It is the Tuesday edition of the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Trump is supposed to give a speech of some sort from the Oval Office. If you guys haven't heard, over the weekend, a lot of Democrats thought he was dead. It's over. He's dead. He's dead, but he's alive. And then earlier today, stuff was being thrown out of the White House second floor. A large object being thrown from the window in the top floor of the White House. Intense speculation. What's the speculation? Just out of curiosity, what did you think it was? Did you think it was a body? That's the best they can do. I would like to think that's not the best they could do if it was a body, that they've got another way of getting that down. Just saying, I'd like to think that. The crazy speculation around Trump with the Democrats, because they have nothing else. I mean, they don't. I mean, if Trump decided today, I don't want to do it, right? He steps away, leaves it to J.D. Vance. What are you going to do? You're just going to call him Trump Jr.? Is that going to be what you do? I'm curious. Are you going to call him? What are you going to say? Because once Trump goes away, the reality of, we've trained the last several years to fight Trump. We don't have anything behind here. We don't have any way to help the American people. It's just always been, the guy that's orange with the comb over, he's a bad guy. Which, whatever. I mean, I sit here and I laugh. So I don't think he's dead, because he's supposed to have something coming up soon in the Oval Office. What it is, I don't know. I've heard everything from Space Force to could be Chicago to going from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And war is what we do. Let's be honest, we don't defend a lot. We're good at getting in stuff, horrible at getting out of stuff. So last week you saw, we've talked about doxing and the craziness going on there. We've talked about these fake, insane, swatting calls and stuff that's going on and stuff at school. I mean, we had a bomb threat early in the morning at a local college here. We had Tennessee Chattanooga had something. Pretty much every college in the South, it felt like, had something going on. And there was nothing when it came to active shooters. But one of the things that's going on is the fake doxing and people going and messing with people's houses. And it was not if, but when. But there's a caveat with the story. So you got a kid that's shot and killed, and the guy is going to be prosecuted as he should. And there's a reason for that. But this is another one of those things where it's a TikTok thing. I see a lot of people talking about that. I did this as a kid. What are you, 30? Louis, you're 30, right?
Yeah, I'm 30.
Yeah, you just turned 30, right?
Yeah.
You played Ding Dong Ditch 'em as a kid, right?
Yeah, of course.
Everybody did.
Yeah.
Everybody did. This was different.
Some young boys were playing in the neighborhood. They were doing what's referred to as doorbell ditching.
An 11-year-old boy shot and killed while playing Ding Dong Ditch, ringing a doorbell, then running off in a Houston neighborhood this weekend.
I don't feel like it's that serious to shoot somebody from knocking on your door.
Police say the boy was with 2 other kids. A neighbor saw them running away from the home when someone inside the home came out with a handgun and fired down the street. The 11-year-old struck in the back.
In my opinion, that doesn't look like any type of self-defense. It wasn't close to the house, so it'll more than likely be a murder charge.
No charges, however, have been filed.
So charges now have been filed. But the kid ran away. Dude came out and shot. It wasn't like, and depending on the time, right? At 2 a.m, it's a little different. Somebody's knocking on your door at 2 a.m. There's a lot of horror movies that start this way. Get a knock on your door. It's 2 a.m, honey. Right? Everybody reaches for their guns. This was not that situation here.
The Houston case, just because there weren't charges at the time doesn't necessarily mean there wouldn't subsequently be charges.
Criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Russell Wilson is not connected to this case. Here's what Wilson says investigators will debate regarding the shooter's actions.
What you're looking at is it objectively reasonable to be in fear of death or serious bodily injury? Now, obviously, if you're at your home, there's a presumption in your favor, but it's not automatic.
No, and not an 11-year-old in the back running away. You could tell nothing was crazy was going to happen. You went outside. You made an active effort to go outside and look down the street. You weren't in a situation where it was, again, 2 a.m, you're wondering, you're looking outside, you're wondering if people are strapped, and oh my goodness me. No, you made a move that, let me tell you what's going to happen here. right? I'll show you kids.
On July 28th, a Frisco man, 58-year-old Damon Wolf, allegedly shot at teenagers ding-dong ditching his home following a TikTok challenge, according to police. Wolf charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault. Ding-dong ditching can be classified as a low-level trespassing crime, according to Wilson.
But just because you have that doesn't, again, rise to the level of the use of deadly force. You could certainly tell them to get off your property. You could call the police.
Back in Houston,
Keep a close eye on your kids.
police continue to investigate Saturday's deadly shooting, while neighbors question, why was there a shooting?
After you open the door, what made you shoot? Especially after seeing a kid. I don't understand that one.
Yeah. I don't get that either. I think right? Like that, am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're right. You open up your door and the first thing you see is a kid running and you just think, okay, let me just shoot this kid in the back.
Yeah. There was no call for this. Zero. And many of you listening have played the Ding Dong Ditch'em game as well. Come on. Those people out there, I've never played Ding Dong Ditch'em. Yes, you have. Right? We've all done silly. Whether it's toilet papering, Ding Dong Ditch'em, lighting fire in the bag of poop, whatever it is. Come on now.
And we took it to the extreme when I was little. Like, we did more than just ring your doorbell. Like, we would kick your door. Like, you might think you're getting robbed, but it never led to someone thinking that, oh, let me just go grab my gun and shoot these kids.
No. 2 a.m, can I understand it, 2 or 3 a.m, why somebody be really nervous? Yes, that's a different story. The middle of the day, right? And kids running away laughing.
Did he have a ring cam?
I don't know if he had a ring cam. I don't know if he did, which will be even worse for him if he did.
Right, because
Yeah.
I
mean, as if the kid's out there brandishing a gun, well, that's one thing. If he had a fake gun, that's again and something else. But you shooting at kids running away down the street, man, yes. What were you thinking? Did you think you just had a freebie? Oh, somebody came in my neighborhood, so I'm going to do it, right? To stand my ground. Well, they're running away from you. There were no threat to you.
I think they said he wasn't even by the house. Like,
No. He had to come outside from what I understand, onto the front lawn.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy indeed. Somebody said it could have been Brad Williams. For those of you guys who don't know Brad Williams, he's a little guy, and he's a comedian, and he's funny, and it was not Brad Williams. He's still alive. That's just, we used to all do things that in today's world, people lose their mind about, right? We did. We can't even let your kid go across the street when they're 7 or 8 to play at the park because we have this fear of the boogeyman coming and stealing them, when in reality, that is never going to happen. What did we do? Report a couple weeks ago? You'd have to let your kid go out every day for like 775,000 gazillion years before a stranger would come and grab your kid. But this want to grab for use of force and to do something like this I don't get it. Like I say, if you've been robbed several times and it's an awkward time of the night and somebody's knocking on your door, doing something like that, okay, maybe there's a fear factor there. I could see that. But there was none of, even the neighbors like, why did there was no reason to come outside and shoot at these kids. None. Taking your text, we have our hot take. My hot take today, for those of you not keeping score, was the difference between, for me, the choice of sausage and bacon. So I choose sausage over bacon. I love bacon, but sausage, if I could only have one, it's sausage. If I can only have one, it's sausage. That's it. Now, I love bacon. I like to have both, but sausage, I think you can do more with. That's just me. Let us know. Somebody else said, because Louis talked about the slap fight thingy, where if you've not seen it, it's crazy. It's where 2 people stand in front of each other in what looks like it's an arena, right? So it's an arena, and you've got what looks to be like when you watch like the arm wrestling thing. It's got that kind of podium, but instead they stand across from each other and slap each other as hard as they can. People are like, well, what's the difference between that and boxing? In boxing, there's a reason they call it the sweet science. You have gloves on, and those gloves, by the way, really are to make sure that you don't break your knuckles. But they have gloves on, and you also have the chance to defend yourself. This is, you stand there and you look at the person and they slap you. And it's a bizarre sport, but it's gaining popularity because where it was really popular? It was really popular. It's in Eastern Europe. It's a big Russian, like Ukrainian thing, Baltics. It's weird because they like to slap each other because they get drunk and do all kinds of crazy things. I don't know. Let us know what's going on. The other thing was we're talking about, we're waiting for, supposedly Trump is going to speak here any moment. He's a little bit late, probably because he's sick. That's what we're hearing. But we're going to carry some of that for you. But we're talking about Chicago. It's been another one of the big deals that we talk about today. And the Chicago side of stuff is, I don't want military, any kind of National Guard anywhere. Some of you are like, no, let them be there. They could be there forever. That doesn't fix the underlying problem. And you're federalizing something now. You're making it, you're turning a city into a federal area. It's not. It's a city. And there are repercussions with voting poorly and continuing to put idiots in charge of things who don't change anything. They come, they promise they're going to fix all your problems, which, by the way, never believe them, because even if they wanted to, they're never going to be able to do that. And a lot of that's up to you. But they shouldn't make it harder for you. But really what they do is they come, they promise you all these things. They take the power with them to City Hall or to the state legislature or to the federal side. They get as much as they can for the party and themselves, and anything else trickles down to you. And in many cases, it's very little. And I wouldn't want to see the military, National Guard all over the place in certain areas, because it's only a temporary fix. The real fix is you have to get people, and you have to put people in place who can get out in the neighborhoods and talk about the fact that if you want to fix this, this is a long-term thing, and this is something that isn't going to be fixed by putting the same people in charge over and over again. That's called insanity. Talk a little bit more about that. Trump is making his big announcement, so we'll be carrying some of that live here in a second as well. If you're missing the show, shame on you. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.